Guess what? We're live with Good, Bad, Ridiculous from Karachi. That is something we did not think we'd be saying a few months ago.
Maybe never in my case. Honestly, I really never thought I would ever get to come to Pakistan and cover cricket. But well, that looked very like looked like the case even a week ago. But it was just meant to be. I know I missed the boring test, and now here I am, and the action's really begun.
Yeah, you're going to miss one. That was the
No.
one to miss. This is something else. So it's time for Good, Bad, Ridiculous. It worked. It's amazing that this works remotely because of our wonderful producer, Muku, who is looking after us today. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to Good, Bad, Ridiculous. We've actually had lots of nominations today, lots on the same things as well. So let's bring up our first nomination, Bharat, and it is...
It's Sarah underscore Sarah Shah 85. Hello, I was born in 1985 too, by the way. Good Uzzie's 100.
Oh, yes, there it is. Good. Uzzie's 100. Of course, that was the story of the day. It felt like it was destined to happen. We were teased in Rawalpindi where it just didn't quite happen. And that, it felt like it was destiny, didn't it? It really did. He was going to score 100 here. That the way he came back into the Australian side, although he was always going to come on this tour, let's face it. But I think for me, the thing is, when you watch him, you think, no disrespect to the likes of, Marcus Harris or Cameron Bancroft, maybe even Matt Renshaw, but you can't help but think, where has he been all these years? He just looks like an absolute dream when he's batting. And it's been the real feel-good story, the way that the crowds have embraced him, the locals as well. You just can't help but feel really happy for him.
Where he's been, Mel, is he's been batting in the middle order, whereas he was just this opener, living inside him that we saw briefly here and there, but we didn't know that he could become an opening batsman at 35, a specialist opener, that is, and maybe potentially at this stage have a pretty reasonable career as an opener. And it's been a story of homecomings for him ever since he made that comeback. He goes to Sydney, his original home ground, makes 100, emotional 100, makes another 100, and then he comes here. And, like his first tweet after he landed here was like Karachi, the land of the Khawajas. And he's spoken about how all his family was born here, and he even knew which suburb they were based in. So it must have felt like home to him, I guess. So, what does Usman Khawaja do when he feels like he's at home? He scores a test 100. That seems to be the theme of this summer. But, another thing, Mel, he said during his press conference also was, nothing lasts forever. So he's in such a good space, you can make out that not just with his batting, but even in his life. He realizes, or he can put into perspective where he is, and the whole long wait to get back into the side must feel like it's worth it.
Yeah, I love the fact that Shaheen Shah Afridi was trying to get under his skin. Trying to get under Usman Khawaja's skin is probably like trying to annoy the Dalai Lama. It's pretty hard to get someone who's as relaxed and zen as he is. All right, good nomination, Sarah. Now, what have we got next?
Next up is Waqas Ahmed underscore, not underscore, sorry, hashtag. I don't know what is at the rate Waqas Talla. He says bad pitch.
Bad pitch. Is it really? Is there? I don't think you can say after day one. Look, what I thought was pretty entertaining cricket generally. I know it might not be to some people's taste, but look at the ball that Fahim bowled to get out David Warner and the way that it seemed. There was some movement with the new ball. There was some good batting. I think this is more wasn't a case of it being as slow and as benign from almost the get-go as Pindi was. I just think they weathered the hard times really well, and it was really hard. It wasn't easy batting for them in that middle session in particular. So who knows? I mean, we have got 5 days to judge this pitch on. Only day one. So you imagine it could be one of those test matches that kind of goes like this, and then things start to happen a little bit quickly. So I thought the pitch was fine.
No, I think it was just like a classic subcontinental pitch in my book. The new ball didn't do much. I thought the spinners would come on a little earlier than they did do in that first session, like we've seen so many times in this part of the world. But yeah, I did think that Pakistan bowled reasonably well in the first session, but there were a lot of loose balls. And one thing both Khawaja and Warner did well was they put them away, and they made sure that the scoring rate was really high. They were ahead of the game, and like you said, Pakistan did try to pull it back. It helped that Marnus was run out. I'm sure we'll talk about that, but they pulled it back before they started bowling negatively, of course. But and I thought once the ball started reverse swinging, Shaheen Afridi looked like he could sense a wicket coming. But once that wicket didn't come, Australia were always going to be on top. And again, I thought it was just good batting. The pacing of the day's play was done perfectly by Australia.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's lovely that we're in agreement. Okay.
Next up is All Sports Considered at All Sports Scan, and he or she says, ridiculous was Pakistan's tactics outside leg.
Yes, outside leg. And if you read the next one as well, it's also about tactics, but slightly different.
It's Shumi at Shumi, the extra I, 88, who says, we resorted to bowling... so you're a Pakistan fan. We resorted to bowling negative lines since the 60th over, waiting for the new ball, and once we got it, Babar gives it to Noman after a couple of overs.
That's a really good point as well. Look, the tactics were intriguing today. We were all discussing a big discussion point here. It just felt like at the moment when they had the pressure on them, and it was really hard. And as you said, the ball was starting to reverse for Shaheen. Was it 27 overs then of spin? And like if there's like 8 or 9 overs before the new ball, you can kind of get that. But 27 overs and not I mean, you end up with Babar and Azhar Ali bowling as well. And then, you're right. And then they come back in with the new ball. So it just felt new ball, old ball, don't really know what's going on. Yes, it was quite negative bowling down the leg side. And it was also, like you said, and Usman Khawaja said as well, they were trying to pull it back after they'd been scoring sort of so freely. Fair enough, they're looking at it long term. But you just kind of felt that Pakistan were on the verge of something, and then they kind of took their foot off a little bit as far as the pressure was concerned. Did you see it that way?
Yeah, but maybe their hand was forced. I'm not sure what was up with Hassan Ali. He was on and off the field, and it was actually while he was bowling, I remember that the ball started reversing. Immediately they went to Shaheen Afridi, and Fahim Ashraf came on from that end. And they did bowl reasonable spells. And then maybe they couldn't go to Hassan Ali and they had no option but to bring on the spinners. And maybe then they thought their next best option of taking a wicket would be waiting for the second new ball. Or that's what I thought. Babar Azam generally is not a very negative captain. He does try funky things. He does try things. Bringing himself and Azhar Ali on before the second new ball maybe was a statement to the spinners. Subcontinental captains do like to do all that. But yeah, I mean, they let Australia breathe. And again, easily, in these conditions, in hot conditions, Smith or Khawaja could have, fallen for it, succumbed to that pressure and just played a loose shot. And that's where I think they deserve more credit than whatever Pakistan did.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when they also came back and attacked Sajid as well. Sajid Khan. That was really good. I thought that was important. What's next?
Ritabrata Maitra at Ritabrata Maitra says ridiculous. Fahim's catch and Hassan Ali's action before that ball.
But the funny thing about that was after all of that, Fahim had only bowled 10 overs, Hassan Ali had only bowled 10 overs, and we were going, oh, is there something wrong with it, not fit? Hassan Ali comes and takes a wicket. That was like, oh, I'm so frustrated right now. What a catch. That was an outstanding slips catch. I don't think there's much better than that. It was absolutely brilliant the way he managed to not just grab it, but hold on as he hit the deck as well. So, that was good. And then there was almost another one. They almost got rid of Nathan Lyon. Imam Al-Haq not quite able to get his hands to it. So you sort of felt if they'd taken that wicket as well and they had got the 4 wickets, then, they go into the end of the day feeling a little bit happier. But it just seemed ironic to me that Hassan Ali comes in, almost takes 2 wickets, but takes 1. Brilliant catch by Fahim.
Yeah, and actually the next nomination also can be combined here, which is from Ajay at 49 Ajay_7. It says bad Smith departing the penultimate over to a ridiculous catch in the slips. And yeah, I mean, especially for Ashraf, who bowled a lot in Hassan Ali's absence from the bowling attack, that is, in really hot conditions, really humid conditions. For him to be alert enough at second slip to take that catch says a lot about how good a slip fielder he is and how good a catcher he is. And the Hassan Ali bowling action changed. I did notice I was on commentary with Adam Collins at that point, and I saw him do something, and I kind of rose from my seat to the extent that I didn't even realize that a wicket had fallen. I was keener on whatever Hassan Ali had done with his action, and maybe that's what caught Smith off guard, because generally you wouldn't go fishing at that wide a delivery with just an over and a half to go. But it's becoming a thing with Steve Smith where he gets to 60 or 70 and he almost finds ways of getting out, like he did today. And you could see as he walked off, his head was hung low and he seemed very disappointed, and understandably so. There was a century for the taking yet again, and it just keeps falling short.
Steve Smith. All right, what else have you got for me, Bharat?
Well, the final nomination. Do you realize it's the first time I'm doing this, reading out
nominations? Yeah, I know. Putting the pressure on him. That's because we're using my phone to broadcast.
That's true. It is from Arpit at Cricket for Sarcasm. And he says, good, Aussie's feeling at home in Pakistan. And we did touch upon it. The crowds have been very welcoming. I mean, Marnus got a huge roar as he walked out. Yeah, maybe he was just surprised by the roar he got, that he called for the run and got run out. No, I still think it was a legitimate run. I mean, the way the crowds rose for Usman Khawaja when he got to that 100, genuine appreciation.
Hey, we're getting appreciated. We've got people down here every time we go up the stairs. Bharat's had a sign made for him as the king. Yeah. I only got a special nomination or highly commended, or basically I got the sympathy prize.
Yeah,
Bharat's
thank
the king.
You for coming. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Is that definitely the last nomination?
No, I mean Arpit has a couple more.
Oh, good.
Yeah. That's why I tried to. Sure.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, if you're talking about my banner, I'm ready to talk about it for the next 20 minutes. But no, bad Pakistan performing like they're playing overseas.
Related.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I like it.
They looked a little lost during that middle session, so I get it. And the final nomination for the day, ridiculous, he says, finally Marnus saying no run is actually true.
Okay, this is the most exciting thing ever, and I can't believe that I have not known this until the good people of Twitter informed me today. Because when he came out, they were all yelling, Marnus, Marnus, Marnus. And then I've been told by people on Twitter, and had it confirmed, that in Punjabi, Marnus means hit, run. This is the greatest cricket nominative determinism you can think of, because it's exactly what Marnus did, and he shouldn't have. The one time he should have said no run. What did he do? Marnus.
I don't think I can add anything to that. I'm not as excited as this point, clearly, but yeah, I don't know how many in the crowd who shout Marnus even know about this, but look, Mel is there to educate them. Now they know why they shout Marnus.
I was being educated myself. I think the crowd were playing mind games. Yeah, putting it in there.
Yeah, and speaking on Twitter, I just saw before we got on live, Marnus has gone to Twitter and said maybe that was the one time I should have stuck to no run. So he sees the funny side of it as well. And done with our nominations. Maybe it's time for us to take a call on. I'm taking over the hosting of the show.
No, you're not doing that bit. I'm going to do that bit, right? Okay, because I do the drum roll. It is time for Bharat, the goodest thing of the day. What do you got? Thanks, Bharat.
I think it has to be the Usman Khawaja story, right? He just, like I said, I mean, it's like he's become this romantic novelist almost with this cricketing story, right? He's just writing one romance after the other. Like he spoke about Sydney, the great comeback, in front of his home crowd. And again, this great comeback to his homeland, or the land of his birth, in front of his its home crowd. It just keeps getting better and better. And we've all debated 235-year-old openers. Is it sustainable? Now I've started to believe maybe it is sustainable.
Who cares if it goes for if it goes for another year with the tours to Sri Lanka and India, then that's good enough. That's good enough for me. Right, Bharat, time for the baddest of the day.
Hey!
I can't hear it, but I know it.
Yeah, I'm also slightly concerned before getting to that. Every time Mel lifts her leg to whatever she does on her thigh, we're not too far from the railing, so I just hope she doesn't lose balance. Might take a lot on my part to make
I've
sure.
already fallen over twice on this tour, and look at my elbow. Look, I've got an ouchie.
Moving on. Yeah. Yeah, the baddest thing of the day maybe was Mel saying ouchie. But I guess you have to say the sight of Babar Azam and Azhar Ali bowling. I didn't see the funny side of it. On day one, on a pitch where, okay, it hasn't done enough yet, but you would have thought they would have made it. And I think Sajid Khan, disappointment. I was really looking forward to seeing him after his dramatic start to Test cricket, but I think he's been found out so far in this series.
Okay, and now the big one. Time for, don't let me fall over, the ridiculousest thing of the day. I've really missed that.
I have actually. It's been a while. I should have bought my googly eyes with me. I think for me the most ridiculous thing was after Steve Smith got out, or he wasn't given out, but he played that shot. He was trying to walk off, and the fourth he had actually crossed the ropes, and the fourth umpire physically stopped him and said, "No, you have to wait because they're still showing the replay." And you could see it almost felt like Smith wanted to go. He was so disappointed with the shot that he wanted to go, and the fourth umpire wanted to. And there stood Nathan Lyon, not sure what to do. And eventually, when the out sign did go up on the board, Smith looked at the umpire almost to say, "Look, I told you, I knew I was out." So it was pretty ridiculous on a day where otherwise not much went right for Pakistan. At least they got rid of Steve Smith in the end.
They did. Look, it's been fun. I actually really enjoyed today. Hopefully tomorrow will bring some excitement. I'd like to see a bit more excitement. But we'll be back. So do save up your nominations and send them. Do give us a like, a comment, share if you can, and subscribe. Lots of this from Karachi. And we will see you tomorrow.